Good day, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. So, in today's ongoing coverage of the conflict that is taking place inside of the Tigray region, I would first like to issue a correction in terms of the activities and the fighting that is occurring in Western Tigray. I had stated in a prior video that there were currently mopping up operations by the Tigrayan Defense Forces underway, specifically in and around Himora, in which the TDF was evicting Amhara militias and the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, along with Eritrean units, had pulled out. We understand that, in fact, now that the situation has been changing, and more forces of Amhara militias have, in fact, been moving into the region. We also believe that Eritrean forces are in Himora, and in fact, there are still some Ethiopian National Defense Forces as well inside of Himora. But that situation could change in the near future. It sounds like there is a continued buildup of Tigrayan defense forces that are looking to push these forces, specifically many of these Amhara militias, out of Western Tigray. And again, this is going to be a very important undertaking in terms of having the ability to control the border with Sudan and be able to take in humanitarian supplies and obviously any sort of trade and weapons shipments that will be very important for the continuity of the Tigrayan Defense Forces in terms of keeping it supplied and having the ability to continue with offensive operations if in fact necessary. But it appears that there could be tens of thousands of Amhara militias in Western Tigray. We continue to hear again that there are Eritrean forces supporting those efforts by the Amhara militias, and this unfortunately will have to be a rather significant undertaking by the Tigrayan Defense Forces to, in fact, evict these forces from Western Tigray. Now, is that possible? Does the TDF have the capability to muster enough forces to remove the forces of these Amhara militias, the Ethiopian National Army, or the remnants of the Ethiopian National Army and the Eritrean Army as well? I would say it is likely. A little bit different in terms of the type of operation that would have to occur. This would be more of a conventional operation in scope and a little bit different than what was occurring in central Tigray prior to the general collapse of the Ethiopian National Army that was located in central Tigray and around Mekelle, or rather the Ethiopian units that were attempting to enter central Tigray and maintained a power base around Mekelle in the southern Tigray region. But there continues to be chatter coming out of especially Ethiopia in terms of a very disgruntled military. We're also starting to hear chatter in terms of what is occurring inside of Eritrea. And it sounds that there is a certain level of unhappiness, possibly within the Eritrean military as well, in terms of its disappointment with the current regime, the current despotic regime inside of Eritrea, and the lack of success that has occurred really with both armies. Both armies were defeated. More so, the Ethiopian army saw a generalized collapse and a retreat from central and eastern Tigray, and the Eritrean army did suffer defeats as well. While it wasn't as widely reported, some of their operations to try and press in to central Tigray from the north were in fact blunted, and they actually took significant casualties. And this army, this Eritrean army, has left northern Tigray with very little other than the property that it looted and stole from the Tigray region. And I would have to say that some units, probably in Western Tigray, Eritrean units, are questioning why they're there and how long will they be there, and is it necessary for them to, in fact, die in this area for them to simply be withdrawn later. And that's kind of the situation that really both sides are looking at now. I would also anticipate other operations by the Tigrayan Defense Forces to induce a withdrawal from Western Tigray as well. There are other operations that could be launched to apply pressure to those units in Western Tigray, those units of the Eritrean, specifically the Amhara militias that make up the largest component of the force that is attempting to maintain control of Western Tigray. And we could see some operations take place, especially in the Amhara region, again to induce those forces to remove themselves from Western Tigray and focus on the defense of the Amhara region. But again, the situation is fluid. There continues to be a buildup of TDF forces looking to move west, and again, that is pivotal for the TDF to secure that border with Sudan in order to have a supply of weapons and aid and food and trade with the rest of the world. And that is really all the information I have at this point. But again, as information comes in on a fairly fluid situation, I will definitely report it. Have a good day, everybody.